welcome back to the channel, everybody. One thing to mention before we get on with today's video, I do not have the blue Honda Civic anymore that was in my previous video. Long story short, I had to give that car back to the previous owner due to some titling troubles. I guess they couldn't get the title switched over. So unfortunately, I did have to give that car back, but they made it right with me and they compensated me for all the time and money that I put into the car myself. And I did use that money to buy another Honda. And that's what this video is about. I'm sure you guys seen the title of it. I bought a first gen Honda Odyssey. I have never owned one, and where I live, they actually aren't too common. But I found this one on Marketplace, and when I went to go check it out, it ended up being too clean for me to pass up. And I really only spent about $600 of my own dollars on the car. So, like I said, a little bit too good of a deal to pass up. But yeah, it is a first gen Honda Odyssey. It's a 96. It has the F22 that has been in every single one of the Accords that I've owned. Very familiar with that engine. The van was elderly driven its entire life. There was never any kids in the back, so the interior is very mint. The van's completely unmolested. For being a Midwest van, there really isn't a whole lot of rust. The worst part about the van is going to be the fact that the old feller that drove it previously liked to hit stuff. So there is some body damage. Not really caring about that too much, considering it's going to be my winter beater anyway. One more thing before we go and check the van out. Seeing as the van had 160,000 miles and I had no recollection of when the timing belt had been replaced previously, I went ahead and already did a full timing service, new balance belt, timing belt, tensioners, and a water pump. Just because when you buy an old Honda that is timing belt driven, it's a good idea to put a new one of those in since they go bad so easily. I think they only last 60,000 miles, or within a couple of years, Honda says that they start to dry rot and whatnot. So good idea to replace the belt on those. And once I tore the timing covers off of it, I actually found out that it had an original belt still. And it didn't look bad, but that wasn't hard to believe considering it was elderly driven. But it was an original belt, so I went ahead and replaced it. Shouldn't have to worry about that for the course of its life of my ownership. And I didn't take a whole lot of videos of it, but I do have one or two clips that I'll kind of sprinkle into the video here. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get down and check the van out. All right, yeah guys, so here is the van. And like I said, other than the body damage, it's actually a pretty clean example of a first gen Honda Odyssey. The paint's really nice in the areas that isn't rusted or dented in. And it does have some rust in the rear quarter panels, but like I said, for the Midwest, it's really not that bad. And you can still tell that the previous owner used to wax the shit out of this thing because there's still remnants of wax around the windowsills. It's actually a pretty cool color. I haven't seen it before. But pretty much the best part about this van is the fact that the interior is so clean. This driver's seat is about the most wear you're going to see on all the interior. And there wasn't any kids in this thing at any point in time. You definitely would be able to tell. So yeah, it's got about 160,000 miles currently. The van runs amazing, has its noises and its pops and clicks, but I mean, it's a 27, almost 28-year-old van now. But yeah, the interior is absolutely too clean. Probably too clean for me. I assume it's probably going to get dirty with me being in it. But all the seats work. Everything works. They did tell me that this thing had a pretty bad oil leak. I mean, pretty typical for an old Honda. So it came with a bunch of free oil. Definitely going to use that. But the back seats, all that shit works. Door panels, super minty fresh. No kid slobber, no dog hair, no stains. The interior doesn't stink at all, which you guys know is huge. Cool part about it is the lift gate still works. The struts, everything, still great. And back here is just still extremely clean, as you can see. Spare tires still intact, unused. And there's some more oil back here as well. But the back seats fold out. They fold up as well. I don't know if I'll ever have anybody sitting in this back seat. But hey, it's nice to have the option. Plenty of room to haul my tools around, maybe do some side work out of this van. I don't know. I am not sure how good these things do in the snow, but we're definitely going to find out. I imagine it's probably exactly like any other Honda. But let's pop the hood here. Under here is completely unmolested, and you can tell that it's been maintained a few times. It has a new radiator hose, but everything's completely untouched. Doesn't look like there has been a whole lot of work done in this engine bay at all. Definitely signs of an oil leak, just like any other old Honda. Probably every seal's dry rotted. Still has the exhaust heat shield fully intact and unrusted, so I don't know. That's kind of different for a Midwest Honda. But this front left fender here was completely caved in when I first bought it, and I took a friend's slide hammer and basically beat the shit out of it until I was able to bring it out, because with where it was before, it was going to fillet the tire if we hit any serious bump in the road. But not a whole lot going on underneath the hood. Like I said, it's all factory. But yeah, really liking this color. This fender over here was also hit. Gonna need 2 corner lights. By no means is this van perfect. Burns a little oil, leaks a ton of oil. But what Honda doesn't leak and burn a little oil anyway? And this is a pretty familiar engine, considering all the Accords I've owned in the previous year. This is the exact same engine that they put in all those cars. So I'm really looking forward to driving this thing around and getting the nice waves that grandmas typically get driving down the road. And I'm gonna be driving this thing nice and slow too, trust me. Classic van. Other than window tint, I think I'm just gonna drive it the way it is. Came on a decent set of tires, and I'm not really sure how these are gonna perform in the winter, but with how cheap I am, I'll drive just about anything. So, more videos to come on the Odyssey. Alright guys, got the Odyssey down in the shop. And this is becoming to be a reoccurring thing, me bringing a new Honda down here and putting a timing belt on. But nonetheless, this is not going to be a how-to video. There is probably hundreds of those videos out on the internet if you really wanted to find out. But got the Odyssey down here, and I'm just going to do a new timing belt, balance belt, tensioners, and a water pump. It's pretty much the first thing you want to do when you buy an old Honda that has a timing belt, because they are made out of paper mache and bubble gum, and they'll pretty much snap on you whenever, and you'll be in a lot more trouble than whatever that much costs. First thing off, we're just going to take all the belts off and the accessories, and then start popping the timing cover off, and then I'll probably pick up the camera. Alright, like I said, I wasn't going to show too much, but I got the old belt off. I'm getting ready to pull the water pump. I'm just kind of letting the coolant drain out right now. The old belts, they did say Honda. I don't know if they were ever replaced. Right in here, you can kind of see it used to say Honda, so I think this is an original belt. Nonetheless, it didn't look horrible. The vehicle was barely driven anyway, so But new water pump and timing belt kit. Gonna get it thrown on. All right, everyone, that's pretty much gonna wrap this video up. Thank you for checking out my new van, and definitely more to come on it soon. If you made it to the end of the video, put down in the comments what would be cool to make this thing into one day, maybe a future Odyssey build with the H series, or I don't know, maybe just beat the shit out of it and call it a day.